Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to checking out the YouTube version of Cinematic Autopsy. We've noticed a lot of you are watching and have not subscribed.
Yes.
So,
Please subscribe.
Yeah, before we begin, it would be wonderful if you guys could click on that little link right there. Right, see where I'm pointing right there, and you'll notice that if you scroll down, you'll see subscribe. So subscribe to us, CL Squared Productions. You'll be able to see our videos, stuff.
We have lots of cool content for you guys. You'll know everything that we're up to in the film world, whether we're talking about it or doing it.
Exactly. So let's give you 5 seconds to subscribe. All right, everyone. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
To the conclusion of our Carrie Trilogy.
Like, the thing that really disappoints me more than anything is the fact that we have to move on from the Carrie franchise.
Well, you can blame COVID for that.
Why?
Because in 2019, a Carrie TV show was announced for FX.
Really? Okay.
But there was no update about it since COVID happened, so I assume it was canceled.
It's such a double-edged sword because I'm really disappointed to move on from all the Carries, but also want to actually go back and watch everything else.
Yeah.
Because isn't there other things like sequels and all that shit, or no?
There's only one sequel. There's Carrie 2: The Rage, which came out, I think, in 1999.
And that's with Sue with the psychics.
Yes, that is with Amy Irving as Sue Snell, as a school counselor.
Boo.
So that one, Stephen King was not happy with at all.
Well, I mean, what have we talked about this? What was the one that he was the happiest with?
The original, the Brian De Palma version, which he actually says is better than the book.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The book. If you haven't read the book, you should read the book.
Yeah, we actually took this week to read the book. I kind of have to agree with him. I do think the Brian De Palma version is better than the book.
And also, it's just and I remember we had previously spoken about the fact that we had both read this, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, in high school. When I read it.
By the Brian De Palma version, that we forgot that all this fucking shit is interspliced from the beginning, pretty much.
Oh yeah, no, it cuts in the middle of scenes into reports and
Driving friends and classmates and
yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm what was he thinking?
Well, I mean, he was a first time writer, and I mean, everybody needs to. I mean, I look at the stuff that I wrote back when I first started writing, and I think it's shit. I think it's absolute shit, and I think that it's just you get better as you go on. I mean, the Stephen King who wrote Carrie is not the Stephen King who wrote The Stand, and not the Stephen King who wrote It. You know.
Was it Brian himself who made this the way that made the original version that got rid of all the intersplicing? Was that whose idea was that?
That was Brian De Palma's.
Praise him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely Brian De Palma's idea because he said that it was impossible to shoot the film the way that it was written. So he focused on giving it a linear narrative.
Well, I mean, in a way, thank God.
Which, that was our biggest complaint about the 2002 version, too, was when they tried doing that.
We just, wound up, skipping all the fucking detective shit.
Yeah, because it just takes away from the narrative, and it does the same in the book, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, don't give away your ending at the beginning unless you have, some sort of weird, crazy twist, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The first 10 pages in, they mentioned one of the characters as one of the only survivors.
Yeah.
And it's oh, okay. Well, I guess we know this isn't going to go well.
Thing to know also is how Carrie is depicted, right? In the actual book that was never actually portrayed on screen thus far.
Yeah, no one has ever made Carrie overweight and covered in acne as she is in the novel.
And smelly.
Well, that you can't really make through film.
Carrie, you think?
You know, unless they give people like scratch and sniff cards or something like that. But
As well, it comes in the DVD and Blu-ray. Yes,
yeah.
but you know,
But anyway,
Carrie is
let's
beautiful.
step back a little bit so people know who we are if this is their first time listening to us or watching us.
The first time we are Seal Square Productions.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We are filmmakers, mostly in horror so far, but we, you know, in the future we will expand a little bit out of that because we're just artists. We're just brilliant, brilliant artists.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Charles calls himself brilliant, and I am Chelsea LeSage, and yeah, we make horror movies and we pick apart movies.
Yeah, yeah. Because honestly, and Chelsea can tell you this, I do the same thing with our stuff too. That's why I think our stuff is good because I spend so much time going through it and you know, and just nitpicking and being a pain in the ass about it all. So we hope you enjoy. We want to by the way, we want to thank you guys for 500 subscriptions because
Yeah,
that's
fuck, you guys are crazy. We're so thankful. Tell all of your friends.
yes, yes. Keep going. And while we're also at it, we'd this is the final week, the final 7 days for our IndieGoGo campaign for our film, Bishop's Cove. Yeah.
And Bishop's Cove is this like really beautiful and absolutely horrifying and sexy depiction of really what we feel that the horror community is missing right now. I mean, it follows an LGBTQ like storyline. Heather, played by Emily McKinley Hill, who's absolutely brilliant, and it deals with, you know, the real worlds of drug addiction and then the hell of like an actual hellscape.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's so much sexy, but it does have a lot of nudity in it, but it's mostly like not there's one sexy scene, but mostly it's yeah.
Well, sexy. I mean, like that's the scene I think about, and then I think
Yeah.
about. But you have to watch the movie to see that. So basically, like we started making this, and Charles like wrote it and directed it, and we just refused to kind of adhere to guidelines about like things to change and all of that. And we really need your help in these last 7 days to finish post production on what is our vision for this film.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go to our campaign at igg.me/at/Bishop's Cove Post and take a look at it. We have all sorts of cool perks. And one of our actresses, Jesslyn Blue, said that she will provide a free tarot reading to anyone who contributes over $20 from now for the next 7 days.
That's really cute.
As long as they provide her with the email receipt, she'll provide them a free tarot reading. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Thank you, Jesslyn. I didn't know that. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, she just said it this morning. Yeah.
Aww. Yeah, there's tons of really, really cool perks. You know, you can have a Zoom meeting with Charles and I. You can get signed posters, DVDs, prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just, we're really proud of this, and we really need your help, especially in this final stretch of the last 7 days.
Yes.
We probably like better than The Ring.
Yes, yes, and we did some really cool prosthetics. So lots of really really cool practical effects and just it's a really fun movie. But let's from our film. So once again, igg.me/at/Bishop's Cove Post. I don't know why I'm doing the hand things, but I am. So anyway, let's go into. So now we'll go back into Carrie. 2013's Carrie, directed by Kimberly. Is this Peirce? Peirce.
Yeah, I think so. And this is the first woman directing it, right?
Yes. Yes.
You can see subtle differences as well, but like we'll get into those things. Go ahead.
Yeah, starring Chloe Grace Moretz as Carrie White, Julianne Moore as Margaret White, Judy Greer as Miss Desjardins, Gabriella Wilde as Sue Snell, and Portia Doubleday as Chris Hargensen.
Doubleday.
Yes.
Doubleday.
So, basically, we talked about the casting earlier. So, do you want to go into that right now, or do you want to go into that a little bit later?
What part of the casting?
About the casting of Carrie, how no one has ever actually had an overweight Carrie. And one of my biggest problems with this Carrie is that this Carrie is beautiful. This is...
Yeah, like, there's, you know, So an issue that Charles and I were finding is that, like, yes, one, like, rereading the novel, that no one went so bold as to cast like a Carrie that wasn't this slim blonde, like unconventional but yet beautiful girl, right? Who
Yeah.
could be an outcast. And Chloe Grace Moretz is, I think, falls the least out of that category, where she's just, there's no way, shape, or form that she could not have been perceived as like one of the most beautiful people in her class. I mean, maybe it's all because of her mother and like the perception that the other
Yeah.
kids based on their parents. I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, like from a I mean, here's the thing: like Sissy Spacek and Angela Bettis, you could both see them as being outcasts. You could
Yeah.
both see them as being girls that people wouldn't notice. Chloe
Yeah.
Grace Moretz is not as, and this was the thought that I had earlier when thinking about it from a casting director perspective. If I were making a remake of Carrie and Chloe Grace Moretz came in there, I would automatically be thinking, "Oh, I'm going to cast her as Chris or Sue."
Right, that makes sense. But
And
then
and what I was going to say was, I think if you're casting Carrie and you have a Carrie that could work as Sue or Chris, that's the wrong Carrie.
Carrie. I mean, did you look into? I didn't. Look into the casting of Chloe in that role. I mean, like, she was fucking brilliant. Like, there's nothing against her as like an actor or any of the choices she made. Like, it's got to be really like things that we don't think about. It's got to be really hard to actually play this role, like take on this role and make it your own.
The only I found very little about this film actually.
Yeah.
The only thing I found was that Lindsay Lohan had been considered at one point for Carrie as well.
Oh, well, okay. All right. Never, you don't have to say anything else.
Yeah. And of course, Lindsay Lohan then kind of sabotaged her own career, so she wasn't really.
And again, Chloe Grace Moretz did a fucking fantastic job. Julianne Moore was haunting. And I really liked how they kept the original names of pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
And how they modernized it in certain ways was beautiful. But then
Yeah.
they were very, very much like there was hardly anything that was original in this that wasn't already in the original movie, not the novel.
Well, as I was saying to you halfway through, I realized this is way more a remake of the Brian De Palma film than the novel.
Yeah.
It is way more like there's parts where I wondered if they had even read the novel.
Right.
You are a lot higher on this one than I am. I thought Chloe Grace Moretz did as good as she could with what she was given.
Like direction or like.
I think she was totally miscast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like her character is almost a cipher. They don't give her very much to do. She's pretty much just an empty shell who then becomes Scarlet Witch. And it, she pretty much is just an X-Men character at the end of the movie, and it doesn't fit Carrie.
I love that. Like, I feel like we got more involved with is like her exploration of her telekinesis and coming into the powers. Where I guess that as technology develops, you're able to see things like that, like her and the bed and all of that.
Yeah. I thought the 2002 version did a lot better job of that.
Yeah. No, I like this version better than Charles did. But then again, I also like the 2002 version way more than I thought that I would have.
Yeah. As did I. So let's go scene by scene. Let's start with the shot of the White House, which is distinctly blue.
Yeah. No. So we're watching this together, and Charles goes, "All right, this is all right." So the opening shot's the White House. I was like, "No, the house is blue." Oh, okay, got it. That makes sense. And you can hear the mother screaming, "Help me," like from what I thought was the closet, but that's not what's happening. So you see a wet Bible, and like the stairs are just all fucking. So obviously, yeah, I mean, you don't know at this point, but you can assume that someone's water is breaking. There's broken teacups on the stairs, and she's saying, "Help me, Lord, I'm dying." And the thing that you notice about this scene that we both noticed was that she's not very pregnant, which makes me think, like, did she even know?
Yeah, but the problem is that like I've actually known personally people who didn't know they were pregnant.
Right.
And then just one day, like either went to the hospital or something, or in their house, like gave birth without knowing that they were even pregnant. But the thing is, most of those people were either one of two categories, and Julianne Moore's version of Margaret White isn't. Either one, that they were really, really intense drug addicts,
Mm-hmm.
so that their baby would have very low body weight and they would gain very little.
Right.
Or two, they were women who were severely overweight and did not notice weight gain.
Right. That makes sense.
For someone who's neither, to give birth and not really look very pregnant bothered me a lot, because that doesn't tend to happen.
Find out later that, of course, like, she admits, like, oh, I let him take me and blah 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 blah.
But if you remember, she was trying to be pious. She was trying to fight off his advances, and she was deeply religious at the time. She felt she sinned because she enjoyed him taking her.
Right. And so that obviously, like, that changes everything with this. But at the time, just like, if you're just looking at this scene, there very, very may as well have been a possibility that she had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is really cool. And she fucking kills this scene. What does she say? God protect me in my hour of death. I just love the, like, slow crawl up of her, like, giant nightgown, realizing that she's not actually dead, but there's something moving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That, like, broke my heart in a way. And the thing that bothered me the most about this is, she grabs the knife, saying that, like, it's a test, right? And brings it really close to the baby's face. So did they actually have a baby in that scene? Did Julianne Moore actually have to bring a knife that close to a baby's face? That's something I'm wondering.
If they did, I mean, that I don't know, but if they did, I assume it would be a fake knife that wouldn't have hurt the baby. But
well, I'm just, like, thinking as an actor, that was something that stuck out to me. I was like, that's fucking fucked up. Like, having to actually, like, do that would fucking fuck me up. I don't know.
I could probably do it.
You hate children.
I do. That's why I could do it.
Of course. But she's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant in this.
Yeah, she's my favorite part of the film. Like, I didn't like very much, but I liked her performance.
Yes.
So, she picks up the baby after they're shot at their eyes. Then we see the Carrie logo with blood defying gravity.
Yes, defying. And then I'm defying gravity. And
now we cut to Carrie on the school pool. What?
So she's on the swim volleyball team.
Yes, which is why, that's why Carrie keeps sucking at sports, because she keeps switching them. I mean, she played volleyball in the first one, and then she was playing softball. Now she's on, just stick with a fucking sport, Carrie. That's how you get good at them.
I'm also exactly, and I'm also thinking about the fact that, like, you had to have gone to, like, a really pretty fucking ritzy public school to have, like, 1, a pool, 2, a swim team, 3, a swim volleyball team.
Yeah.
And then, like, she obviously, this is not something they would just have the girls, like, do in gym class. She would have had to, like, try it out for this.
Yeah, my other thing is there's dudes there. Would those sort of classes be co-ed?
I mean, like, swim teams usually, so my little sibling Dylan was on the swim team, and, like, they do, like, boys against boys and girls against girls, but, like, it would still be a swim matches.
Oh, okay.
Same time. And they'd alternate, but we weren't fucking rich, and we had to go to the fucking Boys and Girls Club. We didn't have our own fucking pool. But, like, swim volleyball, forget about it.
Yeah. Well, by the way, do you know what the screenwriter for this was famous for writing?
No.
He was for a hit Broadway play, actually.
What?
Roberto Aguirre Sarcasa was hired to pen the script. He it's funny when and I'll keep you in suspense here. When Stephen King heard that he in particular was writing it, Stephen King said, "I've heard rumblings about a Carrie remake, as I have about The Stand and It. Who knows if it will happen? The real question is why, when the original was so good. I mean, it's not Casablanca or anything, but a really good horror suspense film, much better than the book. I guess I could get behind it if they turned the project over to one of the two Davids, Lynch or Cronenberg."
What?
Yeah, that's what Stephen King said. He would have preferred that either David Lynch or David Cronenberg had directed this. But, here we go. He directed the huge hit play that is not cursed at all, Spider-Man: Turn on the Dark.
Oh my god, are you serious? So for those of you who don't know, Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was literally like has been probably the most deadly play in the, like where people would just actually go to see the play in hopes that someone would get injured.
Yes.
I saw it and I was like, no, I get it. Fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's who they turned to write the screenplay for this.
Did he already
He had already done it. Yeah, he had already done Spider-Man. Yeah.
Jesus. He must have like owed him a huge debt or something. That's the only way.
I don't know. That was every article I found. That's what they listed him as the writer of.
Oh my God, that's so bad.
Yeah. So this, considering that, this could have been so much worse.
That's true.
Because Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was not good at all.
That's why, like, in the scene she actually levitates in the prom scene.
Yeah.
Like, here's our Spider-Man moment. Maybe she'll die. We'll get a good no. We have fly space, people. Look at this gym.
Yes. So at this point, Carrie's gym teacher, Mr. Jardins, who I'll give the movie this. At least they helped us learn how to pronounce it. Yeah, because the last movie said it once, and you and I were just kind of like
Again, what's her name? Greer.
Desjardins, Judy Greer.
Yeah, it's hard for me too, where it's like, Charles and I have this like age-old conundrum where like someone like attains a certain fame, no matter what role they play, you're just like, no, that's this actor, like Brad Pitt. No, that's Brad Pitt. With her, I'm like, no, that's fucking the daughter in Chelsea. That's Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter in all the Halloween movies, or that's
wait, really?
Yeah,
that's what you associate her with. That's like she did that like yesterday.
Either that, or the fucking what the fuck is it called? The Jurassic World things.
See, I haven't seen those either. I associate her from Arrested Development. Yeah.
That too. Oh, she plays a sex worker in that, right?
I think kind of. I'm trying to think if her character. It's such a weird show. It's entirely possible her character does sex work as well. So I'm trying to remember exactly what her character is in Arrested Development. But yeah. So it's funny, by the way, when you were talking about that, I was just thinking about how Bullet Train and how, you know what, if you go through that whole movie just thinking of Brad Pitt's character as Brad Pitt, the movie still works.
No, it does entirely.
Yeah, it totally does, because I could just imagine Brad Pitt just going on a train and all this shit happening to him and him reacting the exact same way.
I assume you haven't met Brad Pitt either, but it seemed just like this is exactly how he would act in that given situation.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel more films, if you're going to cast people like that, play into it. But anyway, yeah. So
if you haven't seen it,
yeah. So Judy Greer plays the gym teacher, and she wants Carrie to get into the game.
Didn't they say in the book they said something about the gym teacher being like flat chested and like horrible? Like they said something really horrible.
Yeah, it was a weird description. They described her as the non-breasted gym teacher, and I was like, "Fuck, man!"
Fuck, Steven.
Absolutely. That just it made me think of like those like fucking those websites where they have like male authors describing female characters, and it's like her breast bounced gently as he walked into her room with her coffee-covered nipples covered by silk, like shit like that, like, which is not far from some of the descriptions in the original version of Carrie, if you really look at it. But
it made me really sad. I was like, no, you're such an icon and so influential in my life since birth, literally since birth. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, it's but you know what? It says how much better of an author he got as time went on.
Yes, you got lucky, baby. You got lucky.
He became worlds better, and I'm really glad to see that like he improved, because I don't think the Stephen King that wrote Carrie would have been as iconic if he had kept in that writing style for the next like 40 years.
And then also just quintessentially giving away the plot in the first 10 pages. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian Desjardins. Thank you, Sissy Spacek. We owe you the world.
Yeah, Brian De Palma, not Desjardins was the gym teacher.
Oh, Jesus, fuck.
Yeah.
Brian Desjardins, husband.
Yeah.
Desjardins.
De Palma.
So. Brian Desjardins,
Yeah, so now it's Carrie's serve, and the people are actually encouraging her. I think Chris was actually encouraging her.
Yeah, no, like I love the shot leading into that too, where you see all the like bounce. Well, I didn't know if I loved or hated it, where it was the underwater, all the like, like waist down, all these people.
Yeah.
So excited, and then you just see two straight legs. You're like, oh, that's like why, like why is that?
Chelsea, where you go? All right, we're back after some technical difficulties, aka Wi-Fi in the log cabin that Chelsea is currently in.
Yes, I am.
In the wilds of Maine.
Yes.
So,
definitely.
speaking of Stephen King.
Yeah.
So she hits the ball and it hits someone in the back of the head. Was it Chris?
No, she hit Sue in the back of the head.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I really loved about this moment though is that like Chris starts laughing and like people start laughing and like Sue starts laughing and then Carrie's like, oh, I can be a part of this, and she starts laughing. Oh, I can be a part of this group, and then Chris says, you eat shit, and she's not laughing anymore, and it's just it's fucked up.
Yeah, because like at that point I was like, you know what? Someone gets beamed in the back of the head with a ball, everyone laughs, and you're all fucking bond over it. It's not like a fucking big thing, and then it becomes ugly.
Thing to do, and I've done that several times.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, I mean, I used to be insane, like in gym class. Like I remember the one day that we didn't have our regular gym teacher. We had a substitute and he wasn't paying attention. And my friend John and I were on a team. We played basketball and we were losing. And so
I'm really afraid of this story, Charles.
What?
I'm really afraid of this fucking story.
Well, so we were losing and the gym teacher was not watching us. So me and John declared ourselves a third team. And then when I body checked someone, I said, oh, by the way, it's also full contact basketball now.
Charles, this is how it works.
And so we now play 3-team full contact basketball.
This further proves that like Charles knows nothing about sports.
Yes. And we eventually stopped because my friend Alvin, whose real name was Albert, but I called him Alvin because I wanted to. He was what?
I said you are Chris.
Yeah, so he was going for the ball, and I very comically, in the most Bugs Bunny way possible, put my foot out.
Charles.
And he kind of went like flying 2 feet into the air.
Charles.
And landed face down.
No,
Everyone, and you just heard like dead silence in the gym. Everyone was like, and then I immediately yell, our ball.
Oh my God.
And everyone's like, no, man, we have to make sure he's okay. I'm like, okay, but we won.
Charles, that's like the equivalent of Plug It Up, which they bring back. Fucking terrible. No, you are Chris. I never even that. Like, fuck Billy and Tommy, you're Chris. So bad.
Well, that's gonna be some weird casting.
That's gonna be some weird. I wanna be the mom.
You'll be like, why is Charles in the girls' locker room throwing tampons at this teenage girl?
Well, like you might as well have just said that. Like that. Yeah. I feel like in a way. So we're back to communal showers.
Yes.
Which for such a rich fucking public school that has like water volleyball doesn't make any sense.
It's interesting, by the way, that the novel actually goes out of its way for Carrie to say she wished that they had individual showers like another school.
Right.
Yeah. Like the School of the 2002 remake, I guess, that she had also seen.
I wish it was in 2002.
Yes.
I do. And it was like, it's like almost a shot for shot, like shots of her enjoying washing her own body, and then she sees blood on her soap and on her hand.
It's actually missing a lot of the shots that were in the other two versions. This is
playback.
This is the interesting thing. This is the most modest version of the Carrie shower scenes, despite the last one being on network television.
Well, I think that, like, there must have been obviously something in her contract, and like what was this rated, PG-13 or something, that she can't, like, no nudity, no nothing, and I'm sure that was in her contract.
I think it was rated. It might have been rated R, because of the violence at the end.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you do see Chris's face going through a windshield and stuff. So
spoiler. Oh no.
Yeah, as opposed to the other two versions of the exact same script that we've talked about twice before.
No, the frame flips entirely with the car. Don't you know that?
Yes, this time they get out and they do a performance piece together.
What I love
about Arachna, the spider goddess.
Yeah. Yes. What I love though is that, like, how the realism of the fact that she's just, like, actually getting blood on people's clothing. You know, or it's the gym teacher, it's Sue's shirt. I mean, like, that's realistic, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But they brought back the plug it up thing, and we were talking about the 25 cents, right? And how, and they just, like, ripped the fucking thing off the wall, so they didn't have to pay to, like, open the pay for the tampons and the pads. And I was like, yeah, that's the smart move. They must be strong.
So interestingly, Sue is not laughing at all during this. Sue is actually completely sympathetic almost this entire time.
But later on, she says, like, when Chris confronts her, and maybe this is a weird edit, but we didn't see this, where, Chris is just like, you called her a freak and you were doing it. And she was like, yeah, I stopped. But in this, we don't actually see her do anything. She never even starts doing fucking shit. She never calls her a freak. She never anything.
Yeah, I wonder if that was like a different take that they didn't use.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But, like, come on, dude. I mean, that's not as bad as the one that we missed. Or
yeah. So the girls are recording with their phones so that they can, the whole cyberbullying thing that was actually really big for a few years, where girls were like, guys were doing it too, where they would, like, beat up and humiliate each other, and then they'd upload it to YouTube. YouTube eventually got policies to take that stuff down, like, almost immediately. But for a while, that was a very common thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it even, like, happened as recently as what a Pretty Young Woman, that something like that happens as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it's still a thing. I don't know. This, like, really broke my heart too, because it's just, this whole other level, and it just ruins people's fucking lives. And it's still all the time, every single fucking day, like, someone's life is ruined because someone recorded something.
Yeah.
Fuck that. So of course she doesn't know it's her period, and Disjardin comes in and lifts her out to go out, and like slaps her in order to get her to calm down.
Yeah.
And then we get what Principal Henry, right?
Yeah.
Can I get you some aspirin or, like, a juice? And she goes, and the gym teacher goes, juice, really, Henry? Juice? I think it's hilarious. And she said, I'm sorry I slapped you. So Charles and I initially, like, both missed the slap and had to rewind it. We were like, that's a horrible edit. But no, she did. Also in 2013, she would not have gotten away with.
Yeah.
At all.
So we also find out that here the state stopped Mrs. White from homeschooling Carrie.
Right.
Yeah, and Carrie doesn't want them to call her mom. So here's the thing that I find interesting here. So maybe it's just me, I find it so weird, the thought of Margaret White driving.
Yes, and also job outside of her house.
Yeah, like they show it a whole lot in this film, that she has, like, a job. Like, this does not seem like a person who's capable of maintaining, like, employment or passing a driving test.
Yeah.
Like, because especially because Julianne Moore adds a lot more mental illness than even the book or the other two versions.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can see, and that's what's so fucking brilliant about her portrayal of Margaret White is that you can actually like see into the mind of the mental illness of this character, and it's not just this like religious righteousness in a way.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel it contrasts with the rest of the movie because they have her doing things that the mentally ill character Julianne Moore is portraying would not. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Or like fundamentally believe she should do.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, like working as a seamstress at a dry cleaner.
Dry cleaner, and then also like hemming necklines for girls going to the prom.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but also while slashing up her own legs and stuff and doing all these other things. I'm like, I can't imagine someone at her job wouldn't have been like, Margaret.
Or I was thinking about it, I was like, maybe she was realizing that like this is the thing I have to do, and I know that I have to do it in order to survive, if not for Carrie, then for myself and for God.
Mm-hmm.
So this was her like form of punishing herself or like self-flagellating, being like, I know that I have to do this.
Yeah.
God is asking me to do this, but I will bleed for him in every step of the way.
Yeah.
No, that's the only thing that could make sense to me. But also in this first scene where she picks Carrie up from school, do you notice how their hair is exactly the same in the shot of the car when they're driving away?
Mm-hmm.
It's like their hair is like both such a fucking wreck. And I was like, you know, it just gave you the first like insight. If you were to start the movie at that moment and understand that it was a mother-daughter relationship, you would think this isn't going to end well. It's not good.
The other thing, and I don't remember if it was in this scene or not, but when they had Carrie White eat shit, it was written all over everybody's locker, not just Carrie's locker.
Right.
And I feel like that would make people angry not at Carrie, but at the person doing the graffiti.
Right. And the fact that like nothing's done about it too.
Yeah, like that seemed like a weird thing to do, because when it's on Carrie's locker, then that's making fun of Carrie. When it's on everybody's, it's like, hey, I don't want a fucking giant A on my fucking locker.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of discrepancies like that in this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and also here's where we meet Wish.com Justin Timberlake, who I guess is supposed to be Billy. And I'm sorry, the boys, like the fucking Tommy and Billy keep getting more and more generic every fucking every remake. Like, I'm convinced if they had done the 2019 version, they would have just been two mannequins.
Two mannequins. See,
mannequins with different wigs, like on top of them.
See, the big contrast with Ansel Elgort's portrayal of Tommy is that he's almost more sympathetic in certain ways than Sue is, and I get that that's a different take on it, and I don't hate it. I mean, like, but it is true that you expect them to like be in these cliques and like have these certain opinions and have to be coerced into doing these things, and it becomes less and less so in these films.
Also amusing that Billy appears to be so much older than Chris. I made the joke last time about how if we were casting characters in this, that I would just play Billy and Chris is with like a man who's decades older. But here, that's what it really fucking looks like.
No. The actor who played Billy is like the 5-year-old step fucking brother of the weird extra in the first movie in the Prom. That's it.
Yeah. So they get to the White House. They're going to talk about it inside. Carrie doesn't want to go in. Margaret goes in anyway. And now the little kid comes to the door yelling, "Crazy Carrie." This is not in the book. Everyone has decided, let's take the little kid yelling "Crazy Carrie" that Brian De Palma just wanted to give his nephew a role.
Yeah.
And everyone has redone this fucking scene in different methods. Yeah, it's not in the book.
There's no, and also it's just like, you know, I think that I have to give it to the 2002 version where the kids just fucking wrapped around the tree.
Yeah.
You know, violence. I fucking love that.
Yeah. So Carrie gets inside and Margaret White is just smashing her head into the wall.
Yes, and that's one of my favorite things that she does is that she literally smashes her head against the wall constantly, and it's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, this is also the first time I believe, that Margaret White accuses Carrie of being a lesbian. and saying that she had her period because she had lustful thoughts looking at the other girls.
You showered with the other girls and you had lustful thoughts.
Yeah, then she just smashes her in the face. Like, it's almost comical. Like, just the way she smashes her in the face with a Bible. It's almost like fucking slapstick at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, even the fact that, like, someone would consider that before considering, like, the other men, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Happened before her even thinking about, well, she went into the, like, Adam and Eve thing.
Yeah.
Immediately skipped to lesbianism.
Which I will give this movie one thing. I will say, besides, I like Julianne Moore's performance, even if I feel that it doesn't fit the film. But I will say, I do like Carrie quoting the Bible back at her mother.
Oh no, totally.
That I liked a lot.
Before you say that, also it seemed like Julianne Moore didn't even know that there were like communal showers and all that shit, but like she's like the type of person who would have like obviously toured the school before allowing her kid to go there.
Yeah.
She would have known that, but continue.
I don't know. Well, actually, on the other hand, though, it seems like she was forced to allow her to go. So I don't think she would have been able to do any, but I'm sure she would have toured it. But I don't think there's any. I don't think she had a choice in the matter of allowing her daughter to go anymore.
Like, let her go to the bougie ass fucking volleyball swim team. But yeah, no, I love also that she like quoted the Bible right back to her. Go ahead.
So she locks her in the prayer closet. I was very disappointed by how normal the crucifix in the room is after our creepy glowing eyes Saint Sebastian.
Where is Saint Sebastian? And even like, I know that they tried to make up for it maybe with a quick montage of like fake religious whatever, and no, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It didn't work.
Yeah, we had lots of blood coming out of Jesus, and it still wasn't as effective as just that creepy ass Saint Sebastian with the glowing eyes.
I feel like say that you and I were to like have this span of being able to remake, like doing the original Carrie and then this and then this. I feel like creepy Saint Sebastian would be the thing that we would be like, no, it has to be in every single movie.
Yeah, I would go out of my way to either recreate or find that fucking Saint Sebastian for that fucking closet.
Yeah, no, I would too. And I wonder also, like, you think back to people who, like, obviously those silly fools, those sinners who thought in the original that it was Jesus.
Yeah,
that must have maybe even been like people involved with rewriting this or like making the set where they also thought it was Jesus, and shame on you.
Yeah. So now speaking of silly fools, we go to Tommy. We go to Tommy and Sue doing some fucking.
Yes, they're just like fucking.
Yep. That is in the novel, though. In the novel, they are boning.
Right. Did it also have in the novel like what Chris said later, where she was just like, "You and Tommy are gonna finally blah blah blah," and I was just like, "No, we already saw them fucking on camera."
Yeah, I don't remember. No,
I don't.
Yeah.
So silly. Where is this? Apologizing to Carrie? Am I missing something?
We get a whole story about him kicking a kid in the ribs once in 6th grade, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. And like, meanwhile, Chris and Billy. Billy's just the two of them. Chris and Billy, they have Tina over. Tina, who has gone from like Norma, where Norma was like a big deal in the first one, and she was a little less of a deal in the second, and now Tina is barely in this film.
Tina's barely in this film, but she's definitely gay. When Billy's just like, "Oh, well, you two should kiss," and like Tina's all about it. She's all about it, and Chris is just like, nah. And wants to just make out with Billy in front of her.
Yeah, and upload the video of Carrie to YouTube.
Which is just like, that's fucked up. It's so fucked up.
Yeah, and they make a lot of like blood puns about like her.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Find my notes. Keep going.
So we cut to Margaret singing some religious song. Margaret comes.
Also, I remember specifically that this is never like, because every Christian or Catholic church will have different like melodies to certain religious texts or songs, and there's like 20 or 30 of them. And I've never heard these lyrics ever. Ever. So it must be like some sort of weird fucking shit. Like that's some cult shit.
Yeah. So at this point, Margaret comes to the closet. She asks if Carrie's finished her prayers. She kisses her and calls her a good girl. And now we're in a soccer field, and Mistress Jardins is talking about the prom being the biggest month of their lives, and asking everybody who's going there. And then she asks if she's going to just pin a bloody tampon to Billy Nolan's lapel of Chris.
To a boutonniere, which I love that.
Which is not as fun as just fucking throwing a million fucking tampons at Chris as they did in the 2002 version.
Yeah, I also even missed what was it in the original that like Sue was like, "Shut up, Chris."
Yeah.
I missed that too. I missed that so much. But I did love her being like, I would have voted for you, but not now.
For Sue and Tommy, yeah.
To Sue and Tommy. And then, but like the thing is that so they're forced to do suicides, right?
Yes, but you have to explain because I wrote down that I don't know what suicides are.
I was like trying to think back to, because I basically did every fucking sport, right? And suicides, like I was a basketball player, and suicides are you start from the wow, Chelsea, the back line, like the end line on your own side, then you go to the foul line, you go back. Then you go to the half court, then you run, and it's all just running back. Then you go to the other foul line, then you go back, and then you go to the other end of the court, and then you run back. That's a suicide.
So it's just laps, basically, or
doing suicides. And I was like, they get to go sideways and like fucking skip. What the fuck? These fucking fuckers. I mean, like that could be from another sport, but like not anyone I ever fucking played. Like they got out fucking easy.
Why are they called suicides?
Because it like literally, I mean, it makes you want to die in a way.
Like, okay.
I think that's actually it. I hope that they're like actually called something else now because it's fucked up. I doubt that they are, but
yeah.
Like if you like do poorly in a game, the next practice, the next day, you're like, the coach will be like, all right, do 20 suicides. And you have to touch each line before going back. So it fucking sucks. It sucks. That was like, I got shin splints so many fucking times just doing suicides. But I was like, they get to fucking hop and go. They're literally doing my like ACL fucking like PT exercises.
Huh.
Yeah. Those bitch.
So they have to run the suicides, and anyone who stops running is suspended. And if you're suspended, you're not going to prom, which is a lot different than the whole, let's put them through boot camp thing that they did in. So which is worse, actually? So you've seen 76, the Prom version. You've seen this version. Which is worse, having them run suicides for like several hours, or having them do all those exercises in the Prom version?
Well, like, how many reps are they doing for how many days for how long in detention in the De Palma version?
It was like 5 days of detention or something like that, like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, that's worse. Because at least if it's like one and done, then it's done. But like, and didn't they even say they're like, oh, you have a heart condition, or you think about people who are overweight? And I did really appreciate that. We're like, yeah, you have to take those things into account. Like what someone actually couldn't fucking do it. In this version, like with the suicides and stuff, because I know there were girls who couldn't fucking do that in my class. And like, that's just not cool. That's not. And also I knew that in this class, there were people who weren't actually present during the like tampon throwing scene in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you're just making them all fucking suffer.
Yeah, I guess. I have been present. I have definitely seen gym teachers do that though. I have definitely seen gym teachers punish a whole class for what one person does.
Yeah, that's fucking fucked up. Fuck you, Miss Brie. I'll say it again.
Yeah. So at this point, Chris is trying to do the thing she never can do, which is unionize. And I realize at this point, Chris is Jesus because she's denied 3 times. And so Carrie really should be worshiping her. Yes.
Where is Saint Sebastian?
Yes, getting arrows stuck in his balls or whatever. So
we need you, Saint Sebastian.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
What?
No, I wrote a note that is not even in a language.
I do that all the time.
It is hilariously like incomprehensible. So I don't know. You go into the next part because I have 2 notes that are incomprehensible, and then I go to her moving broken glass with her powers.
Well, the last time that we saw Carrie with her mom put her hair in a braid. So like Carrie's pulling up to school with her mother, and she takes her hair out of the braid in the bathroom mirror. With her powers, she breaks the mirror, or she moves the mirror and she breaks it. And she's kind of like, she's happy discovering what she can do.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like the shot of like just seeing the like movement of the like the shards of the mirror in the actual sink, and then someone walks in, which is hilarious. But then nobody does anything about it. It's just left unattended, and you'll find out why later. So now she's in the library and she's looking up magic powers, and she's on YouTube, and some like random nerd person who never shows up again like shows her how to put it on full screen.
Yeah, like I said, I found Tommy so generic at one point. I wrote, "Is that Tommy saying that?" I don't know, because it was just a random white dude like saying something to her.
And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. They're gonna give like a nerd me like maybe he can like, help her. Or she'll have one friend." No.
Nope.
So we go to the like infamous English class, and she's actually made to go in front of the class. And this is something that I really, really hate about the school system, where you don't know like kids' learning disabilities, their anxiety disorders, like their like how they actually feel about public speaking and all of that, or any number of reasons why they shouldn't have to go up to the front of the class,
Mm-hmm.
and always being forced to go to the front of the class. Like Carrie White is someone who I would not make do that. I think that that's not okay. And there's so many people who, myself included, like very early on, realizing that like, okay, I have to do this is really not acceptable. It's not a good thing to teach people. Like you can say like even when we go back to the fucking volleyball swim thing, that like how Miss
Desjardins, yeah,
says to her like, you can't stay in the corner all the time. You have to fucking do something. She says some shit, and I'm like, that's not the way to fucking speak to a kid who's like going through a shy, and this is not the way to do it either. And that really, really made me upset. And this is where the fuck. So this is Samson something. I wrote it down later.
Well, she talks about a poem about Samson, and I believe wasn't Samson made the walls of Jericho come down, but it was I'm so far from having Bible passages memorized now, which I used to have all the time.
Yeah, but this is from the Bible. This is from something else.
Yeah, but but she says this. You get this shy girl, you force her to read in front of the class, and the teacher is just as big of an asshole as the 76 one, where he's like, "Well, that was disturbing, and that's the most you've said in class for the day.
Are you done scaring us for the day?" And Tommy asshole under his breath, and then he's, "What'd you say?" "Oh, that was awesome." And it's just 2013 too. Like you should be able to report a teacher for that.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah. So now we have a version of, we see Sue's mom at the dry cleaner, but that doesn't really do anything.
Well, no, but you see that, like, again, that she's forced to Margaret, right? That's her name.
Yeah.
Forced to fucking like make like immodest hems of things.
Yeah.
Stabbing herself. That's what I got.
Yeah. But, so then we go to, man, we loved this scene in the 2002 version. Here it was kind of a big nothing burger, where Chris and her dad are with the principal.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I found it to be fairly realistic with like the like absent father who's just like fucking pissed off that he had to be there, and then like called on her shit, and she's just like, "No, I can't do that."
Yeah,
that's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
They're like, "Give us your phone, and then if it's not there, then I'm wrong." But that also like is totally not something you can do either. Yeah.
So Chris gets suspended for it, and so she goes and blames Sue for not standing up for her.
Yeah, and this is the scene where she's just like, "Oh, well, you were there. You called her a freak, and you were involved in this." And she's like, "No, I stopped." But like from the beginning and what we saw, Sue literally had nothing to do with any of the fucking like tampon throwing.
Yeah, and they also mentioned Carrie apparently was going around saying everyone is going to hell, and she's been doing it since 6th grade. Which, number one, how long ago was she being homeschooled? This now brings up
go to school.
Yeah, this now brings up all sorts of weird questions with what the movie has established. Because how long was she in regular school, taken out to be homeschooled, and then got put back in? Was she homeschooled early on? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
but if she was homeschooled early on,
Usually when they like force kids to be from, like, in my experience, just in Massachusetts growing up, they would like force not they never forced unless it was like a like dire situation where a kid needed to be like taken away from the parent, put in foster care, put in public school. But where they actually stop homeschooling kids is around sophomore year, because you have to start doing the SATs and stuff like that. And the SATs are like really, really they're sticklers, I guess, about like distributing that to homeschool kids.
Yeah.
So that means it'd be like 2 years.
So would Carrie have been in regular 6th grade and then taken out and homeschooled and then put back in? That doesn't.
Not.
That seems weird. That seems very weird. But also, she says Carrie's been going around telling everyone they're going to hell, and that doesn't seem like something Carrie would have done at all.
No, that seems like something that Chris's like parents would have been like, oh yeah, she's saying this, but it's something that she's hearing from the mom, that they're hearing from the mom.
You know, yeah, I could 100% imagine her parents hearing it from Carrie's mom, but the way Chris says it is like Carrie's the one who's been saying it, which seems weird.
Imagine if we had a fucking scene where like Carrie's just going around being like all quiet and stuff, and then like going, "You're all going to hell."
Yeah,
and,
like that wouldn't fit her character at all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so well,
we're not used to anyone talking shit about us that we didn't do ever.
Yeah, so Sue goes home and she sees her prom dress. While Carrie's reading all these books at home, she's using her powers to get the book to her. The book floats for a little bit, starts using her hand to move stuff, and it's very X-Men. And which
is like all the books moving into the air, and like the electricity crackles, the bed lifts up off the air, and then as soon as she like into the air, and then she hears her mom, and everything goes down. And that's the thing that didn't make sense, is that like also how is she just like asleep, all the lights are off, and also why didn't her mom see all the fucking books on magic on the floor?
Yeah. So at this point, Margaret says she's not going to let anyone hurt you. She uses and Carrie uses her powers and makes the knife stick into the ground when she's not even looking at it, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to be looking at it? I mean, I don't know.
That would be a big telekinesis problem, is not visually seeing things that you're doing.
You can't think about it with your mind.
Unless she knows exactly the exact place it's being placed, she would have problems moving it.
And she also never even knew that the knife was in the room.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah.
You know what matters is that Tommy plays lacrosse.
Much like all the boys did at my high school.
It's fucking depressing. My first concussion was lacrosse, and this like fucking his name was Brandon, and he sat. It was like co-ed gym class.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty good at lacrosse. I wasn't on the team or anything, but like he went and he slid it, and he like landed directly on my face, and he was like a fairly long dude.
Mm-hmm.
Got blamed for it, and I wound up with a concussion, and it's just I don't know.
My first concussion was a big, probably like 36 inches big, like speaker, like a stereo speaker, falling on my head. So hard, it landed right here, and it landed so hard that the wood on the paneling cracked.
That's fucked up. Also, I can't see you, just so you know.
You can't see me?
No.
Okay, well, as long as I can see you, that's fine. Okay.
You just want to see my face.
Yeah, once you disappear, that's when you won't be in the video. But, so at this point, Sue asked Tommy to take Carrie to the prom.
And he's saying like no, and she says, what does she say? Like,
we have to do something that counts.
Do something that counts. And I saw the way that she looked at you when you rescued her in class. And I mean, like, I really this is the only version of this where I felt like Sue and Tommy maybe would have been a good match, where they're both sympathetic, and they are now we have two characters who like care about Carrie.
Yeah.
So I did like that. I didn't like that we moved the next scene to a lunchroom. Not the library.
And his weird, I hypnotized a dog once.
I hypnotized it. So he's just like, oh, telekinesis, looking at her books, and like, oh, does that have to do with hypnosis? No, you fucking buffoon. And the thing is how he delivered that line too. It was like, it was like he wasn't present as an actor almost. It was like he knew that he had to play this douchebag role, but he almost had that grimace like he knew he was going to be funny.
So, yeah, I was not impressed with I was not impressed with his performance. And I actually like him in Tokyo Vice, but here I really am not. I'm not. To me, he just comes off as very generic and very forgettable. But what's not forgettable now is the scene that you were very unhappy with in the De Palma version, where Mrs. Jardins starts telling her to wear makeup and stand up, yeah, and all that sort of.
I just couldn't.
You're not good enough the way you are.
It's like I couldn't believe at this point that they were actually doing that. I wrote mirror scene. Fuck no, Charles, talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I just can't believe that they did that again.
Yeah.
I mean, but like it makes sense, and it's almost maybe even more relevant than it was in like 1970 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, everything became so much like quickly about makeup, especially during that time period, and but again, it's something that the gym teacher's doing that is not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Even more so, and it really fucking pissed me off.
And the other thing is, and this is, like I said, I complained about this, is that once again, Chloe Grace Moretz is so beautiful that you barely notice that any difference when she has makeup on.
There's literally like almost no difference at all. I mean, like, and I'm sure that that Carrie before the prom had, as we all do, we do the like makeup without makeup look, like, mm-hmm. So wearing makeup but it looks like you're not wearing makeup. Yeah. There was any difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was really, really upsetting.
Yeah. So at this point, Desjardins yells at Sue and Tommy, and he says, "Hey, Tim Tebow takes kids to the prom all the time."
Yeah. Who the fuck? Like some like sports celebrity? I don't even know who that is. Is that like?
Oh, okay. See, I just let it go because I assume, Chelsea will know who Tim Tebow is, because she says you're hardly a famous athlete.
Tim T. Oh, yep. Here we go.
Yeah, and then Mr. Jardin says that Tommy will look ridiculous with Carrie.
He was a free agent. He played in the NFL as a quarterback with the Denver Broncos. Whatever.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I was going to say...
that's inappropriate for him to take fucking teenagers to the prom.
Mm. So, at this point, he is... Carrie's walking home, and Tommy goes to her house. It's pretty much, once again, almost directly from the De Palma version, except that her mom isn't home yet.
And he has a Jeep Wrangler, which is the car that I always wanted in high school. Again, proving that it's like a rich public high school.
Mm. And Carrie's freaked out. Her mom may show up, and he says girls change their mind all the time, even though she had said no.
I hate that he said that. I hate it so much.
Yeah, and he's not leaving until she says yes.
Like, get the fucking hint, man.
Yeah, well, she says yes, and, he leaves. So even though Chris and Tina are watching, Carrie walks home while it's thundering and her mom is waiting outside, because Carrie then goes to get herself a dress directly after saying yes.
Well, she goes to the dress shop, and I love that, like, you know, that the first dress that she touches, that like red one, is the one that we find that Sue actually bought that she puts away.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, and I love seeing that, like, Chris and her like whole posse watch, and of course she can't afford this dress. And the thing is too, I was thinking about it as well, is that like growing up in this small town,
mm-hmm.
and like a huge dilemma is, you know, you have like one or maybe two shops that have prom dresses or bridal dresses and all of that, and the whole thing is that like if you show up with the same dress as someone else, it's a huge fucking catastrophe. It's like the talk of the town, and it was always kind of like never even spoken about.
Yeah.
But well known that like the red dress that Carrie touches, or the one that's in the window, the best one would go to the most popular girl, and they did that with Sue.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but it's fucked up.
So that's a question I've always had as a guy. Like, why is that a bad thing for two women to show up in the same dress?
Well, because like entering the prom, I know in my high school.
Well, never mind the prom. Like, I know, like, even at just social events, that's considered a faux pas.
I mean, like, no, I feel like prom's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Prom's the first one. Like, even at, like, like semi-formal dances, like leading up to that, it would be an okay, acceptable thing, being like, hey, from across the dance floor. But the prom was a huge to do, where most of Shittsfield, Massachusetts would come and congregate around the Taconic Circle and the cul-de-sac there and watch and I did it from like age 4 until I was one of those people going to the prom. And it was a huge thing. And I remember from so young, if I saw two people, and it happened several times, two people coming in with the same dress, though, I just felt embarrassed for them. And that's really sad. That's really sad. And then when I actually got to high school, and of course freshmen were not allowed to go to the prom, but even then, knowing the dichotomy of who in the upper classes was in what clique, like someone maybe in a popular clique versus like the gamer nerds clique wearing the same dress, that person in the gamer clique would be berated for like the rest of their senior year for wearing the same dress.
Yeah, I don't get why that is.
I don't either. It's just like, it was just a thing. It's fucked up.
Because I've legit gone to to clubs with girls who would get like upset if they saw another girl in the same dress as them. And I've never understood. None of them were able to explain to me why that is. And you said you don't understand it either. So I don't.
I had both of the proms I went to in high school. I had my dresses custom made for me because I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mystery. If one of our listeners can tell us if there's some sort of historical reason for that, please do.
Just that people are awful.
Well, I mean, people are always going to be awful, but like.
They're awful. I don't know, but it was even like parents. Like, parents would be like, "Oh no, she has the same dress. She's a loser." Like, what? Get a life. I don't know.
So Margaret is not happy with her daughter wanting to go to the prom.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I do miss from the Brian De Palma. I miss the fucking Last Supper at the supper table. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And at this point, Carrie uses her powers to make her mom come off the ground, and basically she also taught. Here's the thing: she says that the powers passed through Grandma and skipped her, but then she says maybe it came from Daddy.
And I understand how that could be like a last ditch, maybe like in addition to the script trying to make things make sense. But you're not supposed to understand how that makes sense, I don't think.
Yeah, that makes even less sense, because if it came through Grandma and skipped her, that's a complete ignoring of genetics. Like, it can't have come from both sides. It had to have been.
Well, that also would imply that like Margaret knew that her mother had this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it implies like, wait, did Grandma have this? But wait, it maybe came from Daddy. So did her mother have it, and then she just by coincidence happened to also find a husband who had these powers? Like, I mean, a father?
Carrie never knew her father. Like, she would be like, "Oh, my father." She'd never be like, "Daddy."
Yeah.
There's no relationship established there. That doesn't make. Oh no, I hate this.
Yes. Yeah. So here's where we go.
Less and less.
Yeah. So here's where we go to the hog farm. And this is also the first one where we actually see the pig after they've killed it. It's a very convincing practical effect they use for the dead pig here.
Sure, it was a practical effect.
I'm pretty sure it was. Just because I don't think that you're allowed to really handle, unless you're a licensed butcher, I don't think regular people are allowed to handle dead pork.
That's something I'd be curious about. Yeah.
No,
and I was saying to Charles too that so what they do is you get like you got in the original version or the original movie, that the pig is hit over the head once, and I'm like, that's not the best way to like collect blood from that animal. And then Billy gives the knife to Chris and is like, oh, just it's just one slit of the throat. It's just, and she's so quick to do it. I would have turned down that role because of that, even if it was fake.
Yeah.
Not okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure, just like how regular people are not really supposed to handle live chickens because of the risk of oh God, what's that disease? Salmonella, yeah. there's something similar for pigs. I think it's like trichinosis or something like that. And you can't, the actors would be in danger for how long you would have to leave like a dead pig out there to do that scene.
Dysentery.
I don't think it's dysentery.
Bubonic.
Yeah, I don't think it's bubonic plague either. But so at this point, Sue vomits because she's pregnant. That is the universal movie way of a movie telling you a female character is pregnant.
Right.
If a woman vomits and she has not seen or smelled something horrible or eaten something bad, if she vomits, that is a movie's way of telling you she's pregnant. So she goes into the bathroom with the mirror that has not been fixed from Carrie.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that because how much time has passed? Like a day?
Yeah.
Like the fact that the staff has not, especially because there was a witness who walked in on Carrie when the mirror was broken at the end of it. The fact that the staff had not been noticed or notified, and has not been fixed. I mean, God knows, fucking shards could still be in the sink, and that's a huge hazard. That's just you're asking for trouble. Something really bad could have happened. It's not caution taped off. The rest of the shards aren't fucking pulled off.
Yeah, it's clearly a different day, and it's still broken. Nothing is blocked off. And Sue decides to look into this mirror instead of the 3 perfectly good ones right next to it.
That's really fucked up. That was just bad direction.
Yeah. So at this point, we have the prom montage. After Chris and Billy break in to place the bucket. And we get the whole take off the dress and we'll burn it together and pray for forgiveness.
I did like the one drop of blood actually hitting Chris. I thought that was a nice touch.
I guess. Carrie stopping her mom from hitting herself with her X-Men powers.
Yes.
And also Margaret saying that they're all going to laugh at you, but we don't hear that at any point, but I'm saying it doesn't echo through to Carrie's head when she's hallucinating.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Which was the whole point of they're all going to laugh at you. That's why it's so iconic. It's not just a line you stick in there just to have this part of dialogue.
Right.
Which, by the way, Brian De Palma did confirm that Miss Collins was not laughing at Carrie. That was Carrie hallucinating.
Oh.
Yeah. Remember, you and I weren't sure about that one. I had one thought, you had the other. Brian De Palma said that she was hallucinating.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better.
Yeah, so Tommy's outside with a limo, and she locks Margaret in the prayer closet using heat, which is pyrokinesis, which is a completely different power.
Welds the door shut.
Yes, completely different power from telekinesis.
Right.
So
she's super powerful.
Yes, she's literally one of the characters that is in our fucking lore. I was just like, oh, so that's just who she is now. Okay, wonderful.
Oh my God, yeah, no, this is when it starts. You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
I've read all these books on magic powers super quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
go on. Actually exited the house, the beautiful, how she was lit with the sunset, gorgeous.
I will say that I will, as I said, I'm not a big fan of this version. I really like the cinematography. And you know what, even though I don't.
That one moment was natural light as well, and I love that.
Yeah. So, here's pretty much all the stuff that's kind of the same in that it's like, oh, well, Carrie.
I'm scared. No, they're not that bad. I need you there.
Yeah.
And then puts the corsage. She has the corsage up on the what the fuck is this called?
A shoulder, a clavicle,
whatever. She has the corsage on her dress, and he teaches her that it goes on her. Oh, and this is the thing I wanted to say. As someone who has been going to father-daughter dances from the age of 4 to prom, corsages, I don't know who invented the bands that the flowers lay on that make the corsage. Someone better, or these people will be put in prison forever. brand it's ever been. The corsage band is the itchiest thing I've ever encountered in my entire life.
Mm.
And it kind of like almost ruins the experience for you. And I know other people could agree with me. Please agree with me, everyone. Like, just do better. Like, make it out of some other material. And like over the years, I've even noticed with like younger people who are now are like my nieces and nephews, like going to proms, it's the same material. And it's the itchiest thing in the whole world. But then there's also a stigma, especially in high school, around corsages and boutonnieres, where if a woman takes off a corsage, if the girl takes off a corsage,
she will turn into a pumpkin at midnight.
It's almost a sign of weakness, or like it's something that people will bully her for. Like where I did that and I got bullied.
Jesus Christ, there's so many rules.
Taking off my fucking corsage in the middle of a dance.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we are at the prom and we're right about to get to the part that we always do, and we tend to take a break when we get to the prom, let's take a break right now, and then we'll be back.
The inventor of corsage bands.
Yes. We'll be back with his head and penis. All right.
Wow. No, we should actually, like, the skin of like a foreskin should be a great. All right.
What if he's circumcised? You can't just get it. I mean, foreskin may be gone. So we will be back after this commercial break.
Find the uncircumcised. All right. Yes. Mwah.
Hello? Can I help you?
Cat?
No.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. You were just... Wow, just...
You must be Heather. I'm Sabelia. Catalonia was my sister.
I didn't mean to...
I know.
You're just...
Thank you so much for coming. My parents will really appreciate this. Come in. Have a seat, please. I'll go get my parents.
I'm afraid the tower is down. It's been like this for a few weeks. No idea when it will be fixed. There isn't much demand for it, I guess. We had to buy a landline.
Miss Lambert, we wanted to thank you for doing this.
Here she is. I'm so sorry. Kat was like a sister to me.
A sister. Please. We know all about the two of you. She wrote back home to tell us about the woman who stole her heart. You brought our baby back home to us. Thank you so much.
Heather, you must stay for dinner.
Please, do us the honor of staying a little bit longer. We'll call a car for you right away.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Silva.
And we're back.
Yay! It's us. We're back.
It's time for the prom.
Yes. And so it's a lot of Carrie having a good time, and
Same shit.
Yeah, to the devil with false modesty. Carrie getting paper cut.
Just Jardis. I do love that she's just like just full out fucking like rocking out. I thought that was.
I don't know. I was bothered by it just seemed like unnecessary comedy.
Well, it was completely also inappropriate because she was also clearly dancing with a student.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also the other thing that didn't make sense is that Carrie and Tommy are watching her do this.
Mm-hmm.
She comes over and Carrie goes, "Oh my God, hi!" Like as if she didn't see her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So.
I do love is that Tommy checks in with Sue. That's nice.
Yeah. And then, of course, Sue gets a text from Chris that says, "Your girl looks good. She won't for long."
So fucked up. Oh my
God.
God.
At the same time, at the same time, that bothered me because it was like a whole, well, why did she do that? Well, because the plot demands that she be at the gym.
Yes. The thing is, too, about with Chris and Bill, that they didn't even wear prom attire to blend in. They're in leather jackets. I mean, I this has happened in every version of this film, but that's a problem. At least try and blend in. Where the fact that Sue gets taken out of there, but these people don't, whereas they're clearly in the midst of a bunch of people, and there could be chaperones there as well.
Yeah.
So fucking Billy in this version doesn't even go there. They'd be who the fuck is this guy? He could be a fucking bomber. You don't know.
Well, that's why I said Billy is in his mid-30s in this version.
You have no idea what Justin Timberlake could do.
Yeah, exactly. Look what he did to Janet Jackson, for fuck's sake. So, yeah, exactly, man.
Also, shout out to, because yesterday was my grandmother's birthday and she was in heaven, and she's in heaven. But one of her two famous things that she used to do up until the day she died was she did Michael Jackson dance, which is like a hee hee, and then she also did a Janet Jackson dance where she did a twirl and then went, "Oh no, my boob."
That's awesome.
Love you. Continue.
That's awesome. So at this point, the bucket turns over, and not only do we get 4 different angles, which is kind of
redundant. I thought 3. Was it 4?
It was 3 or 4 different angles.
It was whatever too many. There was no need.
And there was about enough blood in that bucket for about 4 buckets.
For 4 pigs. And also that makes you think about the fact that they had 3 or 4 cameras going at the same time, because the blood the same way from every angle. Yeah,
it really felt like the editor was just like, "Oh my God, we have such a great shot here. We have to make sure we get this. I cannot see you, Chelsea."
I'm coming.
There you are.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, there you are. Okay. But
here.
Yeah. It was, I don't know. I was not happy with that. It looked kind of music video-esque. And,
no, completely redundant and unnecessary. And I just was with all of the budget that it must have taken to have those 3 different or 4 different camera crews, how much they could have done actually with that amount of money with 2 cameras.
Yeah. I do kind of if you're going to modernize it, I do like them putting the video of her from the locker room on the fucking prom video.
Yeah, that's so fucking fucked up. I do like that you laughed here.
Yeah, see, here's the thing that's interesting is that, and of course the bucket falls and it definitely kills. I think that the Brian De Palma version is the only one where it's not clear if the bucket kills Tommy or not.
Yeah, that's true. It's they both were no, this is how Tommy dies.
Yeah. The 2002 and 2013, it's very clear the bucket kills Tommy.
I also wonder, still too, how much does that fucking bucket weigh where it could kill someone, and how high up was it?
A metal bucket falling about 16 to 20 feet could definitely, if not kill you, do permanent brain damage.
Fuck.
Yeah, depending on where it hit. I mean, if it hits you in the temples, you're pretty much done.
Fuck.
Or if it hits one of the softer parts of your skull. So
like also I was impressed with Ansel Elgort with the fact that he actually looked dead and he didn't blink and he didn't breathe. Like, cause I have dying on stage all the time, and with like in certain shows you have to stay on stage and stay dead for a long time. Like mastering how to like slow your breathing to such a point where like the audience won't know it.
Yeah.
Did a very good job. I mean, it was a really quick shot, so no, I'm giving him too much credit, but that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, no, I will tell you, well, you know this personally, but for those of you who are not filmmakers, we've had to do reshoots sometimes.
Because you can see people breathing.
Yes, because some people are very clearly alive when their character is supposed to be dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're not about reshoots. We only do it when we have to.
There's a thing that I won't say what it is, but I'll just say I edited it the other shots around when the person's chest was moving.
Wait, I don't even know which one. We'll talk about it off.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away because I don't want to embarrass the actor or actress involved in the scene. But I will say that But
you still contribute to Bishop's Cove. Yes, continuing.
No, it's not Bishop's Cove. It's not Bishop's Cove at all. Yeah, It was one of our earlier things, but it was. But yeah, no, it was. The editing was 100% like around. Oh, when this person's chest was up, I cut to another shot.
I didn't even know. Yes. When we get there.
Yeah.
At this point, in blood. It has to be fake blood, not pig's blood.
At this point, the drops of blood start going upwards, defying gravity. Because why not? Because we are now officially the X-Men movie. Her eyes have turned black. Cause sure. And she now is able to do a superpowered shockwave that knocks over half the kids in the room, even though that does also not really fall into telekinesis. She's now Magneto and can manipulate magnetic fields.
Well, don't you realize that like she put like fake covers on all the books and they were all actually the X-Men books, and she put covers over to like hide them, and they were Magic Power books. It was all the X-Men series.
And here's the thing. I like this sequence. I don't like this sequence for a version of Carrie. Right.
That's what, you had said that off air.
I really, I love massacres in films. I really, I'm a big fan of them. I try to write them into as many things as I can where a lot of people die in one scene. But I love this sequence. I just don't love it as something in Carrie because it just becomes a completely different movie. Like,
right. We had talked about like the stillness that you get. The stillness and like the weird, like the double jointed, like backward elbows of Sissy Spacek, and like how Carrie's over, and I said Carrie's, how Carrie's over, and just the looks, like just using your eyes and moving your chin, actor, as opposed to this, and like again, like I can see where, of course, that is so much higher than what we see in this, but I have to consider and like think about what Chloe Grace Moretz was like told to do, how to define her own version of Carrie, and what she was directed to do.
Well, let's number one look at who wrote the screenplay. So I wouldn't be surprised if those hand directions were in the script.
No, probably. This is the, right?
What?
This is the Spider-Man dude.
Yeah, the Spider-Man turn off the dark dude.
While I was peeing during our commercial break, that like Spider-Man, that Broadway show was the equivalent of Hamilton, where you like before Hamilton existed, where you had to see it because you just knew something bad was going to happen.
Did people think something bad was going to happen in Hamilton?
No. What I mean is that like Hamilton is up on this pedestal.
Yeah.
Something so superior. Spider-Man was like on that level, but for the wrong go. Because you must see this show.
I've never actually seen Hamilton, believe it or not. It's on Disney Plus. I still haven't gotten a chance to see it.
Well, no, don't watch that. I'll just take you to it.
Yeah. So now Carrie is flying,
like in Spider-Man.
Because she just has She just has generic superpowers at this point. It's no longer just telekinesis.
So it's telekinesis, pyrokinesis.
She has levitation. She can manipulate magnetic fields by doing the shockwave.
And water.
Yeah, she that's what is that? Aquakinesis. She has just developed every possible superpower at this point. Except for invulnerability. She has every possible superpower.
Well, did you see the deleted scene too of this movie where you know?
Well, we'll get to those at the end.
No. Hold on, this is important right now.
Okay.
Scene where they pan to the chaperones and Charles Xavier is sitting there.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm surprised they cut out Patrick Stewart getting his cameo in there.
I know.
Same
with fucking Keanu Reeves and Bullet Train.
Yep. So, by the way, we're only joking about one of those. So at this point, she's going, Billy and Chris decide they're going to leave town and never come back. Carrie is directly behind them. We skip past the place where she deliberately saves the teacher. Yeah. Which doesn't really matter though, because you don't see the teacher again after deliberately saving her. No, yes, you do. Yeah, you see her in one shot with Sue. Oh, okay. Yeah, and she's crying. Yeah, but you're not comforting your students. You're literally like Sue's walking past you and she's strong as shit and she's just like, the teacher. I'm like, no, you should be helping the kid. Anyway, yes, continue. Yeah, but Carrie, she crushed people in the stairs. She electrocuted. She did a whole bunch of shit. She was zapping people with. It's a fun scene, but it does not belong in Carrie as far as I'm concerned. So, at this point, she's directly behind Chris and Billy. Yes. And go on. And she does the stomp. She does a fucking Incredible Hulk fucking ground pound stomp. Yeah, she does. Because once again, she doesn't have enough just random powers. She's like, I want to be an Avenger, and I want to be an Avenger today. Yeah, she might as well have just shrunk to fucking microscopic size and just that's how she kills her mom. She jumps at her heart and just starts stabbing it all over. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. And then she has arrows, and she throws the arrows at her mom, and then her mom actually becomes Saint Sebastian. Yes, there you go. By traveling through time, because Carrie also has time traveling powers. Yeah. So Billy dies when the front of the car kind of compacts when they try to run her over. And the practical effect of his nose breaking, I did like that. Oh yeah, no, the effects on here are great. And then Chris locks eyes with Carrie. The car and she makes her seatbelt strangle her, which I love. Yeah, and she puts the car at a 45-degree angle. There's no concern for Billy whatsoever. She's just getting Billy out of the way and in order to make the car go, and so she's flooring it, but Carrie's too powerful, and she winds up levitating the car into a 45-degree angle, and then lets go of the power on the car, and she careens into I think it's a gas station. Yeah. Into a gas station, and I really loved her face. Yeah, her face going through the glass. It looks cool. No, it looks really cool. Her the blood and everything was. I wonder how they did that. I don't know. I'll look it up. So there's gas pouring, and then a pole falls, and the fire blows up the car. Yeah. Yeah. And at this point, the camera turns to an almost 90-degree angle. And Carrie is home. Her mom broke out of the closet. Carrie takes a bath. And she kind of looks at herself like she's saying no. So I guess, once again, this Carrie, the 2002 version, kind of blacked out during her... She didn't even realize really what was happening to her. Yeah. Yeah. I also love that, you have, again, the image of the mom, behind her, too. And, this in the original, there's no concern for her daughter literally being covered in blood. Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, she realizes, and then she's clean. And also, again, a big issue I have with all of these is that she gets clean real quick. Mm-hmm. Mom, I liked it. Sin. What does that mean? Well, the mom starts. It's the whole speech about how he took me and I liked it and I was weak and I loved you so much. Blah blah blah. Which here, I don't think this is the only version where she says that she actually loved her. Yeah, no, I know, I noticed that, and I loved you so much, and I said, God, let me keep my little girl. I'm gonna be the preacher, you be the congregation, and then she goes into the Our Father. Yeah, so it's a little mother-daughter role play there for you Pornhub fans, and so now they do the Lord. What? I bet it's on Pornhub. Probably. So they do the Lord's Prayer, and she stabs Carrie in the back. Carrie falls down the stairs, and her mom goes flying down the hall in a way that would break almost every bone in her body.
And then all of a sudden, she's right at the top of the stairs, coming down the stairs.
Yeah, she recovered really fucking quick from being thrown about 15 fucking feet through doors.
Because she's Saint Sebastian.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Margaret's saying the devil never dies. You got to keep killing him over and over again, which I have never quite heard ever.
Yeah, no, that's also not in the Bible.
Yeah.
Cuts her in half? What the fuck? No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, Margaret fumbles for the knife. She stabs next to Carrie.
She cuts her in the calf, and she cuts her in the back, and then the calf, and then the arm. And I kind of she actually got a couple and other like cuts in. And she's trying to fucking stab her in the face, but you have Carrie's fucking telekinesis stopping her from doing that. And I did actually kind of enjoy the fact that like there was this power struggle and all of that. And and then all of the sharp objects around the room come and levitate and go towards the mother and stab her and crucify her.
Yes, it's very special VFX. It's so CGI looking. It feels empty. It feels really empty to me.
Yeah, no, it's sad. And then like the thing that ruins it the most is when she's also like taking, and I can understand like especially a girl raised that way, not even knowing what her period is. She of course does not know that taking if she's trying to save someone, taking the fucking things out of her body would make her bleed out and die quicker.
Yeah.
But also the fact that one of those objects is a ruler.
Yes.
That's just that at me.
So at this point, Sue comes to the house. Let me help you, Carrie.
Breaking and entering, Sue.
Yeah, and why couldn't you leave me alone? She uses her powers to hold her back, but then she realizes that Sue is pregnant.
Oh well, the mother's dead by this point. We still
yeah.
But I love the she tries to strangle Sue. She says, "I want my mom. I killed her. I've been hurt my whole life." And I like how I think she did a fucking fantastic job here. Like I want my mom. I killed my mom. I want her back. And the fact that she can't actually have her back. And then there's a second heartbeat, and it's like, but this kind of fucking ruined everything for me. Like, oh, it's a girl, don't you know? Get out.
Also, if it wouldn't even be a girl after like a week?
No, there's no way to.
Yeah. It would just be cells at that point.
Yeah. She can tell. So now she can tell the future.
Yes, she can tell the future. She can there's so much. Here's the thing. I'm not going to give Chloe Grace Moretz shit about this because I think, like I said, number one, I think she was miscast, but she did the best with what she had.
No, I think she was fucking phenomenal, and I think that's just because she was a phenomenal actress, and she like took on the pressure of actually playing Carrie, and she did fucking everything she could with what she was given.
Yeah, and I think if someone wanted to make an actual remake of Carrie and use the same cast, number one, I would cast her as Chris or Sue. Definitely cast her as Chris or Sue. And I feel like she would have so much more to work with as one of those characters because she tried so hard to put out a good performance when everything in this movie is working against her.
Well, I think a lot of it might have even been the direction, and then like no matter who was playing Carrie, it would have happened.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like everything in this movie, the direction, the writing.
Who would you have put as Carrie in this with this director? Like, is there one? Or you just don't have this happen?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the names of the other actresses in this, so I don't even know.
No, I was just talking about in general, like in life.
Gosh. I can't think of really anyone right now that's that age that's right for Carrie, who's not in like our little circle, you know. Right. I know people who you and I have worked with that I might if I were doing Carrie, but like a famous person, I can't think of someone.
I would like to actually like be true to the novel, just in the fact that no one's actually had.
Yeah, that would be if I were doing a Carrie remake. That would be the first thing I would look at is try to find someone who's a little overweight.
And then the fact that she apparently smells bad too, like have that be like noted too.
You know, well that you can really show with just the right makeup. Like you can make someone look like they smell bad.
Well, yeah, no, of course, but even having like a subtle like, ooh, like even with her getting in the shower, like one subtle like the bullies being like, "Got you showering finally."
Something like that, yeah. So
now we have a trial too.
What?
There's a trial.
Yeah, exactly. They have the whole trial thing, which was in the. So And also then they have the rocks. They have the rocks fall into the sky, but it's not a meteor shower.
It's not a meteor shower. You see nothing coming from the top. All of a sudden, the house is just like caving in, but there's pebbles everywhere.
Yeah.
Because God did it.
Yeah.
That's what Stephen King said. So in this trial, also the fact that like Sue says like Carrie had powers, but was just like me. She had hopes and fears, and we pushed her. And we, people being pushed too far. Even in that day and age, without like actual proof of this happening, which this version did show more proof than the other two that it was Carrie who in fact did this.
Mm-hmm.
But like Sue would just be thrown into a mental asylum for saying this in a fucking,
Yeah.
Also, where was her lawyer? That's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine if you got in a court case and you started saying, even if the person had powers, if you start saying, well, she started making things levitate, your lawyer would immediately be like, objection, Your Honor, and bring you aside and say, don't tell people she had powers. They're going to lock you up.
Yeah. No, it's fucked up. It's fucked
up.
It'd be like immediately grounds for them to like take her fucking kid away from her once the kid's born.
Yeah. So we now do kind of a not as great version of Carrie's grave with Sue putting the flower on it.
Carrie White Burns in Hell is written on the tombstone this time. And then she says, we can only push in voiceover. We can only push someone so far before they break. Then the tombstone breaks and we hear a scream.
Yeah. Which is not great. There was an alternate ending that was... Yeah, the alternate ending actually, the cracking gravestone and the court speech aren't present. It's Sue putting the roses on Carrie's grave, and then Sue grabs her stomach and goes into labor. And Sue's in the hospital, is preparing to give birth to her baby. As she struggles to give birth, Carrie's bloody hand emerges from her vagina and grabs Sue's arm. What?
I think that's better.
It's a much better ending. And then Sue screams loudly as she wakes up in her own bedroom, and just like the Brian De Palma version, Sue is screaming while her mother is holding her.
Yeah, why didn't they do that? I wonder.
I guess they were just like, well, we can't have a hand coming out of a vagina in our version because maybe the Mall of America might be upset by that or something. I don't know, but...
We can't put this on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, so that was definitely... what's that from?
What?
That we can't put this on a roller coaster ride. I feel like that's a reference. What?
That's from my brilliant brain. No, because in the Mall of America, they have like themed roller coaster rides. That's all.
Okay. But yeah, like that was the original ending, which I think would have been a lot better ending than the weak sauce ending we got here.
Yeah, I don't think they actually read the novel at all. You're right.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, the one hint that they read the novel was the scene that also got cut out, but once again, maybe they cut it out because they got cut out in the first one, of baby Carrie seeing the breasts of her neighbor.
Oh yeah,
that was also there, but they cut that out.
Oh shit.
That one is actually available. That scene's actually available on YouTube. That version of the scene.
Interesting. Is it like, did they use the same actress?
No, it's a young girl. It's not Chloe Grace Moretz.
Okay, well that's probably good.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was Carrie, the 2013 version, my least favorite out of the three versions.
See, and like I actually really enjoyed this version. Like enjoyed it in theaters when it came out. Was excited to see it, mainly because I was still terrified of Sissy Spacek. And was really proud of Chloe Grace Moretz. I would like, even from seeing it in theaters, always thought that Julianne Moore was the MVP of this, no doubt. But now I'm like wildly disappointed for several reasons.
Yeah, well, because you had directly able to compare it to what could have been done with it. So
yeah, no, what was the fucking budget on this too?
$30 million.
What did it make?
84.8.
Huh? Is that worldwide?
Yeah, worldwide 84.8. So it wasn't unsuccessful, but it wasn't like a giant hit.
Stephen King made more than $2,500, I assume.
Yes, I'm sure. Although Stephen King now charges $1 for the rights to any of his stories. So
why aren't we getting on that? What the fuck?
I mean, if there's a Stephen King novel that you think that you and I would really be good at adapting, then let me know, and we'll.
The like smallest, most obscure. All right, we're gonna do some research. Yes, so that was Carrie, and I'm really fucking devastated to move on to something else because this has been a fucking whirlwind.
Yeah. So, the next one, we'll tell the next one afterwards. So, Chelsea, where can people find you?
You can find me at chelsea.lesage on Instagram. And where can they find you, Sir Charles?
I can be found at charles.d.lincoln on Instagram. And you can find us
Together
at
CL Squared Productions on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
And don't forget, we're in the final 7 days of our IndieGoGo campaign for Bishop's Cove post-production. We already talked about it earlier. Chelsea, what's that address?
It is igg.me/at/Bishop's Cove post, one word.
Yes. And don't put one word. We always say it all the time. Don't type one word.
Don't type one word. igg/me/at/Bishop's Cove post. And it will help with post-production in order to get this fucking fucked up movie out there for all of. We can't do it.
So now that we've done that, Chelsea, let's just go very quickly over the versions of Carrie. We've seen all three, right?
Yes.
Who is your favorite Carrie?
Sissy Spacek, no doubt.
Who is your favorite Margaret?
Julianne Moore.
Who is your favorite Sue?
The one in the original.
Amy Irving.
Yeah.
And who is your favorite Chris?
You mean like the one I hated the most?
Well, yeah. Well, who do you think gave the best performance as Chris?
I think the one in this most recent one.
Okay. And and finally, okay, cool. So overall, which one of those is your favorite? Still the original?
Still the original, absolutely.
All right. Same with me. The original is still my favorite.
Well, what's your favorite, Carrie?
My favorite Carrie is Sissy Spacek, although I did really like Angela Bettis as her.
Okay, and who is your favorite Sue?
My favorite Sue is Amy Irving.
And who is your favorite Chris?
Nancy Allen from the original.
And who was your favorite Margaret?
My favorite Margaret, I actually really do like Julianne Moore's version, but I wish she had been in one of the other versions.
Yeah. And who was your favorite Billy? John Travolta.
Oh, God. I guess I'm going to have to go with the fucking 30-year-old in this one, only because John Travolta was You know what? Oh, my God, that's a good question, because John Travolta was so bad. I don't think either of the other two were as bad as John Travolta.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, I don't think so I'm going to go with the 30-year-old just because he looks like he was legit a fucking criminal who was fucking a high school girl.
When I was once our coverage of the original was released, we were talking, I had mentioned to several people, I was and John Travolta, blah, blah, blah. And people were like, John Travolta wasn't in that movie. Yes, he fucking was. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Who's your favorite Miss DeJardis?
I'm actually going to go with the Miss Collins, the original.
Yeah.
And my favorite Tommy is the first Tommy.
My favorite Tommy is this Tommy, Ansel Elgort. And I think my favorite has to be the second one.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the second one. I feel like she was the most realistic and didn't do any of that bullshit. And it was the one version of it where they didn't have the fucking mirror scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved her version too. But I think that the one from the original just slightly wins out on it.
Fair. That's fair.
But see?
I'm really scared.
Yeah. So I think it was kind of interesting for us to do that. So now it's time for us to leave Carrie behind, unless someone makes a fourth one in the next 10 minutes.
She always lives in my closet.
Yes, exactly. So next time we're gonna go with we're back to 2. We're gonna go with Child's Play.
Okay.
So so the next film's gonna be Child's Play about a killer doll. And 2 very different versions.
Yeah, what year did the original come out? I can't remember the last time.
It was the 80s. It was in the 80s.
And is the remake the one with The Love of My Life?
Yes, with Aubrey Plaza and Mark Hamill. So tune in next time for us as we handle Child's Play. I think the original is 1987 or 1986. Anyway, So thank you for listening to us.
You fool. And thank you for 500 subscribers. Please, again, like, if every 500 of you gave $1 to the IndieGoGo campaign, we would have $500 more in order to, like, present to you the most fucked up movie that I've even ever seen, and I'm producing it.
Yes. So, what were you gonna say, Chelsea?
I said in a minute, and it's fucked up as shit.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm Charles.
I'm Carrie in your closet. No, actually, that's what I'm gonna do for Halloween this year. I'm Chelsea. Hi.
All right, and so we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.